good morning, afternoon, evening, or night. We're here to bring you some vocal delight, baby. I never really do an introduction, but I want to say that this podcast, this broadcast, because this is just going out there. Nobody's seeing this shit. I hope the word gets spread, but ultimately I really have been through a lot of crazy shit in my life, as has everybody else. But I'd like to say that I've always considered myself on the lower rungs of many different groups, classes, tiers. There's been a lot of things that I just haven't understood in the way that many others seem to in this life that we have. Mainly that I wasn't very preoccupied with work in the sense of making money. It just was never something that I had ingrained in me. And it's like the most counterintuitive, counterproductive thing. But I grew up and I was the third son, the third kid, and I just was at the point where I don't know, it was, everything came to be such a way that I found myself always confronted and conflicted with many different things that I did not like about how people treated each other. And I had no problem with a work ethic. It was one of those things that I always took pride in, was that when I do what I do, I give it 110%. I give it everything I got. I don't know what I got, but I give all of it. And it's something that I don't apply myself if it's something that I don't feel is worth it in the end. And it doesn't have to be like I see a clear goal. That does help somebody like me a lot. But for the most part, I always just struggled because I never knew what I wanted, but I always knew what felt right. And I'm not saying that in the emotional sense of like feeding my ego. Quite the opposite. I've always taken it as a challenge because these things make it a lot more difficult for me to go through my life. When I was in school, I would be the one that spoke up when a teacher was saying something that was just asinine or injecting their opinions into something that should be just about, facts or something. I stood up for people when, that they were accused of doing something they didn't do, and I had, a little bit of information on that. I mean, whatever it was, I really felt like, even sometimes it was dangerous, but for the most part, as long as I didn't feel inherently like I'm gonna die, like something in me was telling me I'm gonna die if I do this, I did it. It felt right, And that's where sometimes you could be on the wrong path in life. You could feel a lot of things and they're not right. But thankfully, I had a very good foundation. I think, unless you're fucking brainwashed from a young age, I think that you have a very good moral compass as a human being. It's just you can be led astray and you could be led to believe that these feelings that in the beginning were horrible, you can be led to believe that those are like wonderful things and you should like enjoy more of that shit. So, humanity, we are like fucking twisted in that way. That's a fact. But we're also capable of unbelievable things. And in the same sense that when like you're just trying to achieve something blindly, I was always trying to fit in to society and like not make my own path. When I was younger, and before I was really like in a late adolescent, like 18 or so, you kind of just like going with the wind with everything. You do stop to think. It definitely some people a lot less, maybe more than others in some cases, But yeah, I don't know. I always found myself distance from the group, but it wasn't something that I ultimately found a lot of fulfillment in, because I went to one extreme, and that was that there was a lot of things I like to do that included kind of being part of the herd, being part of the crowd and everything. And when, as I got to that late adolescent period, pretty much by the time I graduated high school, I was just like, one, everybody goes their own separate ways. You think, like when you're young, you think that you will remain friends with so many people, and there will be people who you do remain friends with, but a lot of those people who you thought, it's just, life is what happens when you make another plan. So things go their own ways, and from that point, I was more solitary for sure, and I always liked to be that way, but I kept it balanced while I was in those social circles. I didn't go to college, and it's something I should have gone to, but at the time I was very hesitant with really just all the jargon that gets injected into the learning process and into academics. You got to go basically back to high school for another year, and then it's like almost like my college prep school. After you finish your associates, then you go for your bachelor's, and it's like that's when you more so start to specialize in what you're going to do. Not 100%, but still in a more advanced capacity than a college prep high school. That's what's happening with college. So I was always a practical dude, and again, I never seen much that wasn't achievable as long as I was just believing it. And that's something I didn't have when I was younger. I was always trying to fit in, and then up until that point, and it was kind of too late for that, because then you go from the whole solitary thing to being relatively very against and averse to any type of like normal work structure, the 9 to 5 type of bullshit. So I'm doing all these side jobs, and like I'm just constantly trying to get a job. And I always used to say, I'm not sure which one it is, but either one could be applicable, but that always have a job, but I'm never working. Or I'm always working, but I never have a job. Because it was this strange position where, like, I would be working and making money in some capacity, but at the same time, I was always like leaving someplace because of just like it's just madness, incompetence, or the fact that you are competent, and then people are like threatened by the fact that you might either be intelligent or good at what you're doing, and then people who are bad at their jobs and have time there, it's a threat to them, because now like either they got to do more work, or you got to look as bad as them. So you pick one or the other. They got to come after you in some way now. So anyway, if you don't fit in many aspects in this life, you're the outcast. And that's where, like today, took an Uber to go to a workers' comp evaluation, and no matter how desperate and destitute you might feel sometimes, that like you have to go along with the status quo. For example, the Uber guy, he's like telling me that he can't, he's feeling certain ways about everything that's going on right now with just the political, economic climate here in New York City and the West, specifically the world. Everything's on fire right now. Not many people with hoses. There's not much water like in Lahaina. But you got just things getting out of control, and this dude's telling me that he's just really bothered by all the stuff going on, and he's saying that, you know, he can't even like speak his mind for the most part because he's worried about, you know, God forbid he says the wrong thing to a passenger in the back. They can like call up the city, call up this department, you know, get all these things to file complaints, this different forms of complaints to file against him or his rating, whatever it might be. And he could lose his job. So anyway, that's something you gotta factor, and that's a big reason why you gotta be like responsible. Some people, you know, shit happens, things are tight, things are very tight. But I have to say that when you change your mindset in these types of moments to, oh fuck, this is not good, I have to do whatever I need to do, you need to change it to, I will get through this, and there's nothing that's going to stop me. There's been many things before. You're still here, right? You're still making it. You're still not starving. You're on the internet watching stuff right now. I mean, varied depending on where you might be, your situation. But at the very least, you're here today. And that's something that momentum of just not stopping, not getting panicked, and keeping that in a patient atmosphere and going forward with the idea that everything in human history has been getting better for us. We shouldn't ignore everything that's happening, the small things. But in the bigger picture, holy crap, how fucked up humanity has been in the past to itself. I mean, the things that we still do now is insane. But again, the greatness and the things we are capable of in the capacity of good and helping each other and all of these things that are beneficial to us as a species, those things have continually advanced and inclined on a rapid, really lately, rapidly. But things can go up and down. The chart is not, when you look at the specific points and everything, it's not just a straight up type of deal, you know. It's all over the place like that, but in general the trajectory is upward. So anyway, to simplify this, really worry about yourself and the people around you, your local community, your neighbors. And that's not a joke, because more simply, there's nothing that is going to stop you other than yourself. And having this belief that you're desperate and you have to do anything you have to is going to take you down paths, and like you're gonna see open doors when they're really not supposed to be open. They're like, they got cracks in them, there's things wrong with them. You think you can get through this door, but it's like, focus on the belief in yourself that you can prevail, that no matter what happens, that you're going to find a way to get your food, to get the water, get the money for the bills. That's just like a totally different mentality, that when you do that, it's like all you see are the open doors. And you'll be like, your life starts to straighten itself out, because you're just not, you're not bothering with things that are not working for you. You know, and it's like you're not in places where you shouldn't be. I spent so much time in places where I should not be. And I went through a lot of them. So imagine how many, you know, and that's the thing. It's like, if you stick through hardship, that's where perseverance is a strange thing. Because you can persevere through like a terrible job that for maybe 15 years is terrible, and you're treated terribly, but one day you make it, you get to be the leader of that place. It's just like, to me, that's not a good compromise, because for me to exist 15 years in a place that is that like cutthroat and just not decent to its fellow human in work ethic, and just the respect for paying people fair wages, you know, benefits, not fucking you over. Everything's about like fucking you over with these companies, you know? It's like, you are making so much money. the profits can be a little bit less. When you're small business, those profit margins are super thin. Small businesses, even medium-sized businesses, you gotta be you gotta give them more leeway. You cannot be hard on the small guy, but the big guy, for sure, be a lot harder on them there's no fucking bottom line. It's like the endless checkbooks. They got insurance covering everything, you know. So the point is that just shouldn't get worried about all of this stuff that's going on outside. It's like, it's chaotic. It's destabilizing. Just like everything going on, that's chaos. You know what I mean? We need the masculine energy. We need to keep the masculine vibe going strong. All right. And it doesn't take the place of ego. It doesn't take its form in the place of ego. That is not masculine energy. For sure, there's a time and a place for every type of characteristic, and ego is definitely something that in the 21st century needs to take a back seat. There's times now where that can help, but that's not necessarily your ego that needs to be driving any type of revolution of the machine gears or anything like that. But yeah, man, it's like, stay true to yourself, because there will be so many things that just become clear. Like, me trying to fucking find a place that I didn't belong, and I was trying to throw myself into like dates and make things work, and always trying to make things work, but nothing was working out for me. So I just started doing more of the things that are working for me. I was always good with people. People was always the thing that I was super empathetic, even when I was like young in puberty. I was like, I seen things very clearly, like what was going to happen. And like at 15, 16 years old, I'm the conspiracy theorist telling people that, fucking Obama is like the Antichrist, and he's he's got all this crazy shit going on, and like, the deep state is involved and blah blah blah. And a lot of this stuff has come out to be kind of true. Now, I'm not saying I believe all of that stuff, but when you look into things, things are not black and white. We live in the gray zone on Earth. The Earth is a beautiful, majestic thing, very colorful, but humanity is gray. We are like, everything about us is gray. We have the extremes, but the thing that moves us forward as humanity is that the majority of us are in this gray area where we see this side, we see that side, and we're like, yeah, both of those crazy people on either end, they're nuts, because right in the middle is where life is the most beautiful. Why can you not only believe in God? Satan doesn't exist. It's like the same thing, where you have those two things, but also like in the middle, there's also plenty of other potentialities when it comes to that. That's where our faith has become just like that. What they're trying, what for corruption's sake is very opportunistic and ideal to have these black and white, because oh my god, the only thing going on in the middle would be fighting, so it's like, just having these two extremes is not good. So when you go outside, when you talk to 95% of people here in New York City, probably about 99%, most other civilized places in the world, most people are decent people, and everybody just wants to get through another day, and ideally be great for everybody to aspire to have kids or some form of a family, even if it's not your own children. I mean, single people and people who don't specifically want to have like their own children. I don't know, man. Like, you should figure out a balanced approach to that, where like you adopt a 20-year-old. I don't know, but there's something you can do, because you lose out on everything in life by just turning it away in that in that full extreme aspect. Like, you know, I always seen it as challenges with stuff, you know? I mean, I was a super jealous person, but I started to get over a lot of that shit because, like, my jealousy started to force me to compete at a level that I prevailed in a lot of situations. And I realized the jealousy, almost like an ego, like the jealousy is unnecessary. I can, you know, I mean, there's some things that bother me where like I don't want my girlfriend, my wife, like dancing with another guy. I don't want her like doing like dance routines with like a guy training. Like that would be something that I mean for me that's the last line of the jealousy where I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what the line is there because that is such an intimate thing that even if you don't like that guy, I don't know, man. It's just a bonding type of thing. You dancing with my woman and shit. That's the line for me. Plenty of other lines, but that's one of the one of the lines, the superficial lines I would draw. But almost a lot of the other things with jealousy and you know, what else would you conflate in that, like, you know, where you get like obsessed with certain things about like possessive, you know, qualities. You got to like get rid of those things because I don't know, man, you find a different part of yourself. You like accept that challenge. And in a way, let's say your girlfriend is looking at this other guy or whatever. If you can be honest enough with her and she doesn't feel threatened by your jealousy and all of the, you know, the possessive behavior, you can learn from her what she's trying to tell you in a way. Because it's like if she likes something about another person, then wouldn't you want to be more like that? If it's something you want to embody, something you could add to your repertoire, you know? So, I don't know. And then you'll know the truth, right? You'll know the truth in that sense. If your girlfriend, your wife, is like fantasizing about some other guy that she's looking at, whatever, you know, she's in a magazine. Every time you know, you catch her alone, she's flipping through a magazine, or she's on fucking, what am I talking about, a magazine? You flipping through TikTok, or she's on Pinterest or some shit. And and you're like, you notice she's always looking at these like, you know, Brazilian guys and shit. So it's like, if you're super jealous, you're just gonna like, rah, rah, rah. You fucking yelling, you know, and she's gonna be totally scared by everything going on. Sorry, we got reminders going off. So, you know, she's gonna be all defensive. She's not gonna want to tell you anything about what she's thinking. All that personal stuff going on in her head. It's gonna be extremely difficult for you to understand that situation in an objective way. You're just dealing with that completely emotionally and reactively, you know? Whereas you can learn a lot about what'll keep you, your intention is to stay together with that woman or that guy. You can learn a lot that will benefit your relationship long term by what she's interested in and what she likes and, you know, what works for her, because there's not always the same eye to eye on what gets people together, you know? Some people, it's like one person sees beauty, maybe another person was really attracted by, I don't know, the inspiring speech that she gave, or, you know, very smart academic, you know, breakdown of something like that. Whatever it might be, those things need to be complementary at all times. It's like, how would you ever expect one extreme to embody a greatness better than the balanced approach? A jack of all trades and a master of one, but still always better than a master of one. That is the full quote. And that is the reason they probably lopped off the bottom part of that. Is society and its highest peaks would love to see the bottom continue to toil. And You know, it's all about the balanced approach in life. And those people up at the top, they're the same as us down at the bottom. They're the same as the people in the middle. That's the whole thing, you know what I mean? So it's just like these people are totally capable of seeing our perspective, as is us wanting to attain their perspective. Because to be quite honest, almost everybody, if given the opportunity and, you know, the path forward to do what a lot of these people are doing, you would get there one way or the other. You'd think you wouldn't, but that's what would make you turn into that person. Is the minute you think that you're not capable of something, you already are. And I'm saying in the negative sense, because that's how that shit works for sure. You could think that you're never going to be like your uncle who's smacking his wife around and everything like that. And I'm not saying this from just like a black and white standpoint. I'm saying that being ignorant to something and thinking that it won't happen to you, like alcoholism or something, you know, as you continue to drink every weekend, it's like, that's not helping you. You should just be very aware of that fact, to the, you know, the dangers of what you're doing. And you should be aware that, all right, maybe I'm drinking too much. You know, it shouldn't have to come from another person. Although that's why it's good to have close people, because you want to have those people to tell you that. But yeah, man, don't give up on things, and no matter how hard it gets, just remember that you're still here, and there is a better day tomorrow. And it's not cliche. It's the simple fact that you could do something today, right now, that's going to make your life better for tomorrow. You know, there might be something you need. There might be something that you do every day that you could just make it a little easier for yourself, you know? Organize your closet, whatever it might be. Something that'll just get you to where you want to be a little faster, a little easier. And that's something that we could all do every day to just get through that one day, make it to the next. Thank you, God, every day. Thank you for every day. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it. If you like this, please throw a like, subscribe. Appreciate it. I'll be back at least weekly. So far, we've been able to get these out at least multiple a month. I'm happy with that. I really apologize. Love to get more out. Oh, but the shotgun thoughts, man. The shotgun thoughts. You know, it's like both figuratively and literally. I don't own a shotgun, but these things are something that, good God, you know, there's a lot of ups and downs to each and every one of our individual lives as well. But thankfully, nothing like that. We're here to be the attraction. I want to attract anybody with those dark thoughts, and we want to turn it bright and shiny, like the little bit of light left up there. That's it. We're back in summer mode. I think we got daylight savings time. What is that, November? Shit ends. Anyway, I love yous all. You take it easy. Blessed.